Hey all, sorry for the delay. They're just trying to make sure the camera's working. Hey, listen, I was gonna do this video, and I really wanted it to be kind of a simple thing, a simple video. You could call this one "Think Inside the Box." And um, I tell you a little story. A while back, I had a student, and this story will make sense later. I had a student, and I was trying to teach him some moves with the sword, and every time I brought up a move, he would. I'm trying to say this without being offensive. He would question me, which is fine. I encourage my students to question me. But what he would do is he would say, "Well, what if this someone does this? What if someone does that? What if someone does this? What if someone does that? Oh, but I could beat you by doing this. Oh, but I could beat you by doing that." And what he was trying to do was he was in essence trying to see behind the move, but he wasn't trying to reach a greater understanding of what I was trying to teach him. He was trying to prove that he was more clever than me. He always had to be the most clever one in the room because I was teaching him something he didn't understand. It made him uncomfortable, and he tried to reassert his comfort by becoming the most clever person in the room and thus dominating the conversation. And what I did was I got tired of that, and I looked at him and said, "You need to learn the move." It's like, well, that doesn't work, and that doesn't work, and that doesn't work. That could be beat, and that could be beat. And you said that could be countered, and that could be countered. And um, he had not learned the basic fundamentals of fighting. For example, stay defended. Number one, stay defended. Number two, strike the other person. And number three, if you can't follow number two without violating number one, then don't do it. That's sort of and from Mask of Zorro, the yes, I know how to use the sword, pointy and goes in the other man, and that's all true. But he hadn't learned any of those, so I got tired and I looked at him and I said, "Fine, tell you what, we'll do a little light sparring, just to the touch, and uh, if I can beat you using only the things that I've been trying to teach you, you'll shut up and learn. And you can oppose me with everything I've been trying to teach you and all of your cleverness. I will literally stay within the confines of the limited amount of techniques that I've been trying to teach you." Short version, I won. And I won handily. And I won over and over and over. And he couldn't figure out why. Because to learn how to beat a technique, you often have to know how to perform it. And he didn't know how to perform it. Therefore, he didn't know how to beat it. It didn't matter if he could envision 100 ways to defeat the technique. He could do none of them. And he couldn't do the technique. So in fact, not only could he not do the 100 ways, did he not know 100 ways to beat the move, he didn't know 101 ways because he didn't know the move. So this is why it comes back to working within the box. And this kind of thinking um, is also engendered in the idea of what kind of tool would you bring to you if you were going to be lost in the woods alone. And a lot of people say a hammer-backed axe blade, not a double-bitted blade, but a hammer, a hard, a hardened hammer head on the back of an axe blade, about medium length. So light enough to carry, but heavy enough I can get long enough I can get two hands on. And you can dig with it, and you can make other tools with it. And the idea being that from this one tool, I can make many other things. It is not a perfect answer. Nothing is going to be a perfect answer, but this is the best available from anything. It's going to be strong, durable, to do many, many things. Theoretically, you could cook on it, but essentially, this from this one tool. And what that's called is in-the-box thinking. Okay. I once said to somebody, "Well, what would the one thing you'd bring if you were going to go into the forest alone?" And they said, "Well, I'd arrange for someone to meet me, or I'd bring a cell phone and call in, or." And I said, "Great, you're dead," because I never told you where you were, and that should have been obvious from the fact I told you you were going to the woods alone. I never mentioned anything else. And in the box thinking says, I'm going to assume there are no other facts, no other ideas aside from what I've been handed. And I will solve the problem based upon what I've been handed. It's the great, idea of, you hear two people. You are confronted by a man twice your size in a fist fight. How do you defeat him? And the one guy, smart aleck, goes, "Oh, I shoot him. See, look at me, I'm clever." No, you're a dick, and you're an ass, and you're an idiot. Okay? I mean, it's not like a couple of guys hanging around, and one guy says that snarkily, and then says, "Well, actually, I do this." He means it. And instead of solving the problem at hand, he's decided to show how clever he is. And it's mostly guys that do this. Just saying. It's my experience. Women don't. They just say, "I don't know." It's a little more honest. Maybe that's just my experience. Because sometimes my wife does it too. And she's a woman. So. But in the box thinking is literally, I have been handed this box of tools, and I will fix the problem based upon what I have. And this actually, people think that being able to think outside the box is more clever, and sometimes it is. But oftentimes, being able to work with what you have to affect a good solution is in the box thinking. You're not saying, let's use this new tool in an unusual way. That's out of the box thinking. I'm saying, let's use this tool in the way it works to fix the problem at hand. I have this, and I have. You're using the tool and the products at hand in a clever way. None of them are functioning outside of their intended design. None of the solutions are solutions that couldn't. MacGyver is out of the box, but MacGyver has a wrench, and it's an adjustable wrench and a rock, and he can't get the bolts off his truck. So, he uses the rock to brace up the wrench in such a way that he can then step on the wrench really hard to loosen the bolt. That's in the box. The rock worked as designed. The wrench worked as designed. His foot worked as designed. Everything worked as designed. He didn't make some fancy dancy power hammer for with the extra gum he had. And that's what I mean. When you're given, if you really want to push yourself in some cases, and especially if you really want to learn something or get smarter, get more capable, in the box thinking, do we have this? Then let's do that. Let's look in the box, let's see what we have, and let's go from there. Everything that we can solve the problem is in the box. And if you've taken physics, you've heard of this. It's used in a different way to solve the problems. It's called frame of reference. How to think about a problem, or how to think about a series of things, and not worry about outside influence, not worry about all the other things that can happen. But boom. And of course, that's how they teach you gravitation, by the way, because they teach you the two-body gravitation problem. Gravity doesn't exist as a two-body problem. It exists as a multi-body problem, and those will drive you nuts. But to learn why it will drive you nuts, first you have to have the two-body problem. The moon and the earth, two bodies. And how do they interact? Okay? Well, it's really the moon, the earth, the sun, Mars, Jupiter, Alpha Centauri, the galactic core, all of that. But to learn how to do it, moon and the earth. So this is kind of a video to encourage people to think inside the box, to not try to consider outside, not try to be more clever. And part of that is nitpicking, taking apart an argument. I once said to somebody, you're not looking at this right. You have to take it on its face. It would be like taking something on its face. A good example would be the sun always rises in the same direction. And he said, now listen, every day the sun moves a little tiny bit. So no, in fact, it doesn't move in exactly the same direction every single time. Well, now you're being a fucking asshole. Because if you had taken wilderness survival training or gone outside in the morning, you would observe that the sun rises in the east. Now, I live in Reno, and in the winter, the sun rises to the southeast, and in the summer, it rises to the northeast. But it rises to the east every day of the year. I'm thinking in the box, and he needed to think in the box. He couldn't think in the box. He had to think out the box because he had to be more clever. So whenever you decide, not because you have to, but because you can, to think outside the box just to prove how clever you are, you're being a dick. And I do it sometimes. I try not to. I'm actually very good at not doing it. Because learning to think inside the box, if you can do that, then you can also, at least a little bit, learn to think in somebody else's shoes. Well, why can't they just see this? Because they can't. Look at the world from their perspective. Use only the tools they have. It's not perfect, but it gives you a lot more understanding than you had moments before. Have a good day.